In this video, we will analyze the maximum suction height or distance that a water pump can have, whether centrifugal or peripheral. This parameter is fundamental in the design of hydraulic systems, as it determines whether the pump will be able to operate correctly without failures. Let's start by defining that the suction height, that is, the difference between the pump level and the water level, must ensure that at no point in the suction piping does the pressure of the liquid water drop below the vapor pressure value at the corresponding installation temperature. This concept is directly related to the NPSH, net positive suction head, which must always be greater than the value required by the pump to avoid operational problems. Remember that in the description of this video, you will find the link to access our complete course on pumps and hydraulics. If the pressure of the liquid water reaches the vapor pressure, the liquid momentarily turns into vapor, creating bubbles that when moving into higher pressure zones collapse violently. This phenomenon, known as cavitation, generates shock waves that can cause erosion, noise, and vibrations in the pump. In addition, cavitation significantly reduces hydraulic efficiency, can damage the impellers, mechanical seals, and cause premature failures, increasing maintenance costs and reducing the equipment's lifespan. Next, we have an example of how to calculate the maximum suction distance of a pump, which is key to ensuring a safe and efficient installation. 1. On the screen, we have a table showing the value of available atmospheric pressure in meters of water column as a function of altitude above sea level. This value represents the actual pressure available to suction and lift the water up to the pump. It is important to understand that the higher the altitude, the lower the atmospheric pressure, which reduces the suction capacity of the pump. For this reason, systems installed in mountainous areas require special care in their design. 2. For example, if the location where the pump is installed is at 2,000 meters above sea level, as shown in the table, the total available suction pressure is 8.10 meters, approximately 26.57 feet. This suction pressure must be sufficient to overcome the vapor pressure, friction losses of the water inside the suction pipes, and also the distance between the water level and the pump shaft. In practical terms, this is the energy available to lift the fluid, and any miscalculation can cause the pump to fail to prime or to operate under critical conditions. Remember that in the description of this video, you will find the link to access our complete course on pumps and hydraulics. In the case of a well-designed installation with a minimum number of fittings and respecting the original suction diameter of the pump, friction losses can be estimated at 1 meter of water column, approximately 3.28 feet. However, this value can increase considerably if the piping is very long, if diameter reductions are used, or if accessories such as valves, elbows, or inadequate filters are used. Therefore, it is recommended to perform more precise calculations in complex installations. 4. Now another table is shown comparing the vapor pressure of water with temperature. This table allows us to visualize the conditions under which water can boil inside the suction pipe. As temperature increases, vapor pressure also increases, reducing the safety margin against cavitation. For this reason, in systems where the water is hot, like boilers or industrial processes, the suction design must be even more careful. 5. For this case, we will consider that the maximum installation temperature will be 50 degrees Celsius, 122 degrees Fahrenheit. At this temperature, the vapor pressure is 1.25 meters, approximately 4.10 feet. This means that the available suction pressure must exceed these values to prevent the water from boiling. If this condition is not met, the system will begin to experience cavitation even if the pump is correctly installed, which demonstrates the importance of considering the fluid temperature in the design. 6. In this way, for this example, the available suction pressure or head in meters of water column is obtained by subtracting 8.1 meters, 26.57 feet of atmospheric pressure minus 1 meter, 3.28 feet for friction losses and minus 1.25 meters, 4.10 feet to prevent water boiling. This results in a maximum available level of 5.85 meters and approximately 19.19 feet. This value represents the theoretical maximum suction height, but in practice it is always recommended to work with an additional safety margin to avoid variations due to environmental changes or real operating conditions. Remember that in the description of this video you will find the link to access our complete course on pumps and hydraulics. Consequently, the height difference between the water level to be suctioned and the pump must always be below 5.85 meters, 119.19 feet. Ideally, this height should be even lower to ensure stable operation, avoid priming problems, and guarantee higher efficiency of the hydraulic system in the long term. Recommendations to improve suction height. A. Install the pump as close to the water source as possible to minimize pressure loss due to friction. This also facilitates priming and reduces the risk of air entering the system. Additionally, by shortening the length of the suction pipe, both distributed and localized head losses are reduced, which directly improves the NPSH available. In real installations, placing the pump at or below the tank level, flooded suction, is even more favorable as it eliminates many of the problems associated with negative suction. B. Use a suction pipe with a diameter equal to or greater than the pump connection to reduce friction losses in suction. A larger diameter reduces fluid velocity and therefore energy losses. Additionally, low suction velocities, generally between 0.6 and 1.5 meters per second, help to prevent excessive turbulence and reduce the risk of cavitation. It is also important to avoid abrupt diameter reductions and, if necessary, use properly oriented eccentric reducers to prevent air accumulation. C. Minimize the use of elbows and fittings in the suction line. If necessary, use long radius elbows to reduce friction losses. Sudden changes in direction generate turbulence that negatively affect performance. Each fitting introduces additional losses known as minor losses, which can be significant in short lines. Therefore, a clean and direct design not only improves efficiency, but also stabilizes the flow entering the impeller, preventing vibrations and hydraulic imbalance. D. Install a foot valve with a strainer at the end of the suction pipe to prevent water backflow and the entry of particles. This protects the pump from mechanical damage and facilitates maintenance of the system. The strainer prevents solids from entering that can erode the impeller, and the check valve keeps the pipe primed. It is important to correctly select the size of the strainer so that it does not generate excessive losses or obstructions, and to perform periodic maintenance to prevent dirt accumulation. E. Ensure that the suction line is completely filled with water before starting the pump, preventing it from running dry. Dry running can severely damage mechanical seals and cause overheating. Additionally, an unprimed pump does not generate the necessary vacuum to draw the fluid, which can lead to startup failures. In critical systems, automatic priming devices or special valves can be used to ensure that there is always liquid in the suction line. F. Verify that all joints are airtight to prevent air from entering, which can cause cavitation and loss of efficiency. Even small leaks can significantly affect system performance. Air entry is not always externally visible, but can create gas pockets inside the pipe,